Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've been following the AI world recently, you've probably noticed that almost every major tech company is releasing its own powerful open-source AI model. We have models from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta, Alibaba, DeepSeek, Mistral, and now Tencent has entered the race with something very impressive: Hy3. Hy3 is Tencent's latest flagship open-source large language model, and it's not just another chatbot. This model has been designed specifically for real-world productivity, coding, AI agents, long-context reasoning, and enterprise applications. What makes Hy3 particularly interesting is that Tencent isn't just chasing benchmark scores. Instead, they focused on making the model reliable for production use. That means better tool calling, fewer hallucinations, stronger coding capabilities, more accurate structured outputs, and improved performance across long conversations. Under the hood, Hy3 uses a mixture of experts architecture with 295 billion total parameters, but only 21 billion parameters are active during inference. This approach gives it flagship-level performance while keeping inference much more efficient than a traditional dense model. Another highlight is its massive 256K token context window, allowing it to understand entire codebases, lengthy documents, and complex multi-file projects without constantly losing context. Tencent also introduced different reasoning modes, so developers can choose between fast responses for simple tasks or deeper reasoning for complex problems. In this video, we'll explore some of Hy3's most impressive capabilities, see where it shines, test it inside VS Code using OpenRouter, and finally discuss whether it's worth trying for your own projects. So let's jump right in. One of Hy3's strongest demonstrations is UI design. Instead of simply generating HTML or CSS, Hy3 understands modern design principles. It can create responsive layouts, clean dashboards, landing pages, mobile interfaces, and admin panels while maintaining proper spacing, typography, and visual hierarchy. If you ask it to redesign an existing interface, it often suggests better component placement, improved navigation, accessibility improvements, and cleaner user experiences rather than just changing colors. For front-end developers and designers, this makes rapid prototyping much faster. Another interesting capability is human-computer interaction. Hy3 understands how users interact with software. It can recommend intuitive workflows, reduce unnecessary clicks, improve accessibility, and explain usability issues in existing interfaces. If you're building AI assistants, enterprise applications, or consumer products, these recommendations can significantly improve the overall user experience. Instead of thinking only like a programmer, Hy3 often thinks like a product designer. Game development is another area where Hy3 performs surprisingly well. It can help generate game mechanics, player progression systems, NPC dialogue, level design ideas, quest structures, and even optimize game architecture. For developers using Unity, Unreal Engine, or web technologies like 3.js, Hy3 can generate code, explain graphics concepts, and suggest performance improvements. It becomes a useful brainstorming partner throughout the game development process. Hy3 isn't limited to developers. It can summarize lengthy reports, write professional emails, generate presentations, create meeting summaries, analyze spreadsheets, and help organize documentation. Because of its long context window, it can process large documents without losing important details, making it valuable for enterprise teams dealing with contracts, reports, or technical documentation. This makes Hy3 useful not only for software engineers but also for business professionals. Tencent also demonstrates Hy3's ability to work with financial information. It can analyze financial reports, summarize earnings documents, compare company performance, explain accounting concepts, and generate structured financial insights. Of course, it shouldn't replace professional financial advice, but it's extremely useful for understanding complex financial documents or extracting key information from lengthy reports. Combined with its reasoning capabilities, it becomes a powerful assistant for financial analysis and research. Now let's move on to my own hands-on experience. Instead of only looking at official demos, I wanted to see how Hy3 performs in a real development workflow. For this test, I used VS Code together with the OpenRouter extension, where Hy3 is currently available to use for free. I gave Hy3 a fairly challenging task. I asked it to build a modern interactive 3D website with animations, responsive design, smooth scrolling, and an attractive user interface. The first thing I noticed was how well it understood the complete project requirements. Rather than generating random pieces of code, it created a structured project with reusable components, organized files, and clean code. The generated HTML, CSS, and JavaScript were surprisingly polished. It also added smooth animations, modern layouts, and interactive effects without requiring multiple follow-up prompts. Whenever I requested changes, Hy3 remembered the previous context and modified only the required sections instead of rewriting everything. That made the overall coding experience feel very natural. I also found its explanations to be clear and beginner-friendly. Instead of simply giving code, it explained why certain approaches were chosen and suggested possible improvements. For day-to-day development, this makes Hy3 feel more like an experienced coding partner rather than just a code generator. After spending some time testing Hy3, I can honestly say that Tencent has built a very impressive open-source model. It combines efficient architecture, strong coding capabilities, excellent reasoning, reliable tool usage, and an enormous context window. Whether you're building websites, AI agents, enterprise applications, games, or simply looking for an AI coding assistant, Hy3 is definitely worth trying. The fact that it's currently available through OpenRouter makes it even easier to experience without setting up complex infrastructure. If you're exploring new AI models for development, I highly recommend giving Hy3 a try and seeing how it performs on your own projects. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I regularly cover the latest AI models, open source tools, coding assistants, developer frameworks, and practical AI tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.